Tiger fans, get ready for episode 320 of the official Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club podcast, bringing you all the latest news, updates, and buzz surrounding your mighty JSU Tigers. I am the Corey C. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified of all future episodes. We're on YouTube, Spotify Video, and the Apple Podcast app. And follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. It all helps the cause, which is the I love Jackson State University. And hosting today's special edition is Terrell Keith.
Yo, what's happening? What it do? How you be? It's your boy T-Ree-Z. My name is Terrell Keith. Sonic Boom alumni. We are here on Tiger Talk Podcast with the 1400 Club. But this section, this portion, this segment here is boom related. Sonic Boom, JSU, Sonic Boom of the South. So what you're going to see Sonic Boom members, Sonic Boom alumni, people who have marched in the boom, participated in the boom at some point in their lives. So first, let me give you who I am. Once again, Terrell Key. I am a graduate of Jackson State. I marched in the Sonic Boom of the South from 1998 to 2001. Or was it 2? Graduated on 2. That's a crazy question. Just had to think about that, right? So I have some wonderful individuals on here with me. We have Mr. Toby Johnson and Miss Danielle Walls. So we just going to jump right into it. Just conversations with the boom, stuff that we like to talk about, stuff that we like to do. I would get my instrument out, but I am not because it is over there and I'm over here. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to jump right into it. What's up, Toby? What's up, Danielle? How y'all doing?
My guy, how's it going, buddy?
Man, it's going great. I'm just sitting here just in excited to be on, guys. The whole Zoom / StreamYard / Teams and Meet and all that Google stuff. I love this kind of thing because I can still connect with people and not actually be in the same city with them, which I think is amazing. So we're going to do ladies first. So Miss Danielle Wall, so I want to ask you something. So tell us where you're from and what instrument you play.
Okay. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, originally. I marched in the boom from 98 to 2002 on trumpet. I was a section leader in 2000 and 2001.
Okay. All right. Mr. Toby Johnson, where are you from, sir, and what instrument did you play?
Man, Toby Johnson, originally from Brandon, Mississippi, course style, came to Jackson State. Y'all my Crab Brothers, Crab Sisters, same year. So, section leader my last year, 2001. Fun times, great memories, great friendships. And that's not a Stingray behind me. I purchased that one. I didn't steal that one from the boom.
That is hilarious. So it's crazy you said that. You said court style. So Toby, I'm gonna ask you this because you said court style, and that was something that we did court style. I went to Callaway High School in Jackson, Mississippi. So we did court style and we did like marching style, like marching band and court style combined. So Toby, how was that transition going from court style to like the Sonic Boom of the South, sir?
Man, outside of being a parent, that was probably the hardest thing I ever done in my life. Coming in, from Brandon, everybody know what Brandon is, it was one of those things where, my sister, she marched in the boom. She's a crab at 89. She's a snare drummer. She graduated from Lanier. She was 833. And then after she graduated and went to college, that's when I went from JPS to Brandon. And, that's how they taught us, man. You started out with a bell kit, you learn mallets first and then you went through your rudiments and all that type of stuff. And it's just a totally different style where it's more closed. It's not as open as, like the show bands. But when we got into it, my crab year that was a hard year. just going through it and being a freshman, that was hard, but it wasn't as hard as trying to transfer your style. It gives me a vision of like true artists when they try to switch everything up. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It's rugged. It's rigid, you know. And that was my entire crab. You're just trying to figure out how I fit in and how that flow goes, and just to fit in with those outstanding musicians, because the vibe was right, the music felt good, everything. This is what I wanted to be a part of, and so you have to work a little bit harder when you're not raised in that. You see it, but you're not doing it, and that was the biggest struggle that I had my freshman year, crabbing in the section, especially within WT, because when I came in, first thing they said when I was coming from Brandon, they were like, "Oh, you course style," and they could see the texture and how I was moving my hands. And yeah, they knew it from jump, and it was like, "Oh yeah, you can play rudiments, you know how to read music, but like you got to be able to fit in." And that was the hardest thing for me in my adjustment. But it was totally worth it.
Cool. Yeah. So were you guys course style? That's something I don't even know. That's a good question for me to know in this moment. Were you guys course style?
No. Detroit bands are heavily show style marching band influenced. HBCU band. Yep. So
when you came, it was easy for you.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say easy, but I did understand. I mean, as far as the marching style and the high energy and the hitting 90s and all of that, I was familiar with, because that's what most of our band directors in Detroit, the ones that had good marching bands, were from HBCUs. So they brought back what they learned and taught it to their students. My band director actually went to Eastern Michigan University, but we were so just crazy about HBCUs, like we didn't like that's what we focused on. We made him let us do it, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
the band really didn't have a lot of structure when I got in it, as far as style. But once I went to a couple of games or homecomings, and visited a couple of HBCU campuses and saw, their bands, we brought all of whatever we could back to my school, Persian, and just tried our best to like emulate it. Some other bands, actually had band directors. King, for instance, Martin Luther King Junior High School, where Mara and Geneva and those guys went. Barry Greer actually is WT. So he actually brought Jackson State style to his band in Detroit. So like there was a lot of that going on. It was really, really cool. Like we had really small bands, but we had all of the pride and and confidence and all of the swag that we thought the HBCU bands did.
So what's crazy about that? So for me, coming out of Callaway, and which is in Jackson, Mississippi, so we patterned everything that we did when it was marching time after the boom, because we were right there in the city. So it's amazing to hear how both of you guys had we all kind of had three different styles of band, and then we come together and it's like boom, we're like at one. So
literally boom.
Like boom, like literally like boom. So another thing. So once again, guys, we all marched in the band together, and it's amazing to be here on this platform to share this stuff with you guys 20 plus years later. I'm telling y'all age, y'all. Oh, you too. I'm telling y'all's age is what I'm doing. God, you know what I'm saying? So
right.
So Toby, I got a question. So what inspired you to go to the boom?
Man, I wish I could say that I looked at a YouTube clip, or and then you got all these these channels on YouTube, like, and people critiquing the bands and all that type of stuff. I wish that was it, man. I want to tell you, man, like my biggest influence growing up was my sister, and like I said, she crabbed in '89. And that's all I knew. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this high school thing. Only reason I went to school was because of band. Like it was my outlet. My expression, and so like, and when they said, oh, you have to pass math, science, language arts, and history in order to play in the band. Okay, that's what I did. I passed those classes so I could be in the band. When they told me what I needed to make in order to get into Jackson State, I worked hard to get into that because that's all I knew was the Sonic Boom. I didn't even look at any other schools. I had options, like I said, my band director, love him to death. Mr. Newman, he graduated from Ole Miss. We went up there for a couple of clinics and stuff, and I auditioned up there, and it went well, but like it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like home. And like I say, when you step on Jackson State campus, man, watching the Boom, going to games, and aspiring to be those people, developing friendships like somebody that I looked up to even in high school, like James Weary. He was in the band 3-4 years before me, wanting to be that person, wanting to be able to look like that. That's why I went to Jackson State, because I wanted to be, it felt like that's what greatness was. So like I didn't know any other. I know you were in Jackson. I know Danielle was in Detroit, and y'all were getting y'all had the tapes and all that type of stuff, the Daddy Weary tapes and all that stuff. But like, yeah, that was all I knew. So like it wasn't another option,
That's what's up, Danielle. Same question. What inspired you to come all the way 24 hours in a car? I think it's 24-hour drive, maybe 22-hour drive in the car. Am I making that up? I don't know.
Not quite.
Not quite. Okay. What inspired you to travel to the South, coming from North, to come to Jackson State? Well, to the Boom. I'm sorry.
Well, it's actually 24 hours on a bus, on the Greyhound bus. I know that because I rode the bus to Jackson State on my to band camp. So, but it's about a yep. It's about a 13-hour drive though, in a car. But what inspired me exactly, I would say, I don't know, it was like this mass battle of the bands. I'm not sure where it was at, but that was my first time seeing Jackson State. But after that, I saw them on BET in '96, and I was like, what? Like I was like, they just looked so good. They sounded so good. They were like super like dope and funky. The J sets were like dope. It was just like super black and just but dope. You know what I mean? It just felt really good watching them. And any other band that I saw after that just didn't. They didn't have the energy. They didn't sound like them. They didn't look like them. It was just so much different. My favorite color is blue. That didn't have anything to do with it, but you know what I mean? It was just, but it helped, I guess. But it was just the energy and the sound and the look. It was everything just seemed right for me. And after that, I think I saw, that I don't know if I decided in '96, but that was definitely an inspiration. And I think I saw them on BET as well in '97, Southern Heritage Classic, in '97 as well. But I think that's when I locked in, was '97. I was like, okay, it's official.
Danielle, I totally agree with you, because like what separates the Boom from like any other school. I was before we got on this podcast, I went and I looked at the Martin Luther King weekend joint that they did in Atlanta this past weekend, and what separated the Boom from every other school was the same thing. It's different, but it's still the same. It's the energy. It's like it's borderline like band cheerleading, it's just hype and crunk all at the same time. And like when you mix all those components together, it's for me, it fits the vibe. It's the chemistry. I can remember just enjoying being around the people that were in the band all together. It didn't matter what instrument and everything. It was collective. We knew what we were doing. We knew what our job was, but the enjoyment, our band directors and the band directors now, even with like Rod and all them, they allow, that energy to come out. It's not sustained in a cage. Be you, be fly, be great. And I think that's one of the major things that brought me to Jackson State, man, because it looked like they're having fun. Even if they're not having fun, it looks like they're having a great time. I can't curse. Sorry.
So no, right. So here goes something funny. My story is kind of different. My dad went to Jackson State. My mom went to Jackson State. My dad played football. He was there, and my daddy see this, he's gonna be like, "Yes, son, you got to tell the story." My dad played football with Walter Payton, so I always have to share that because that's like his biggest thing. Well, going to the games when I was a little kid, before I even started playing an instrument, I would sit in the horseshoe and I would look over and see band. And it was very intriguing to me. Before I could even play an instrument, I knew I wanted to be a part of that. Like they are dancing and wiggling and jumping and doing things with the horn that I would like to learn how to do as a little kid. So that was my inspiration. So it's crazy how, we can sit on here and talk about, what it was that inspired us. So here's another thing. So think back to Boom days. We'll go all the way back to 1998 when we probably didn't know each other yet. We knew who we were. Like I knew that guy's name is Toby. I know that's Danielle. She plays trumpet. She's from Detroit, but we didn't really know each other. So think back to 1998. Think about a moment in 1998. I just randomly selected 98. Think about a moment that was like the best moment for you, Danielle. What was like the best moment that you can think of in 1998? That's a crazy question, and it could be very vague. So whatever comes to your mind, there's no wrong answer to this.
The best moment for me was marching into the stadium at Southern Heritage Classic. That was our first game. And like the band directors, the drum majors, the upperclassmen, everybody was hyping, they're just telling us about the experience. When you march into that stadium and it's 30,000 people and
William Bethea.
Yeah, so it was like that for me. It was like I was hyped like internally, you know what I mean? Like I can't wait. And when we finally did and the lights, the stadium lights are on and then I believe 98 was on BET as well. I believe I might have seen myself. I believe I might have seen myself on camera. But that moment, just marching into that stadium, felt really, really, really great. And I felt, like you said, we knew our assignments, Toby, we knew what we were doing. And I felt confident, you know what I mean? And I, had friends that were in the band across the way, that were from other schools. So it was like, oh, I'm here, it was a great, great, great moment for me. Yeah.
That's what's up. Toby, greatest moment, best moment from 98. That's a long time ago.
Man, I would have to go back, man. Like, I don't want to take anything away from my high school experience, but my high school experience was not my college experience. I went to a high school that, and I love my high school, and I had like I said, I had a good experience. But going to Jackson State was the first time I felt in life that I was around, like-minded people with a same interest. When you're in high school band, maybe 10% of the people that are in your high school band are going to play at the next level. And that's not because the other 90% are capable of playing at that next level. It's just because the interest is not, I want to go through hell to be a part of something that is great. It's like, I just don't want to do that, But being around like-minded people that wanted to practice as much as I wanted to practice, being around people that you weren't intimidated by, but you were challenged by, the Michael Wearies, Marlon Huddleston, like we would be in the drum room, like playing against each other, and trying to live up to the expectations of your Hermans and your Toby Lathams and all those cats. So it was like one of those things where like you felt like you was a part of the program. I can tell you, like 98, there were not much great moments outside of meeting people like you guys and the people that I just named, because I was scared to death like the whole time. But I do remember in 98 at Alcorn, knowing that, this trial was almost complete and we were playing, we came to play. And I looked to the left and the right, and that was the first time that I was confident enough or not scared enough, because it was going to be a consequence, to look left and right. And I saw those blue and white pom-poms going in the air. And I was like, oh, sugar. I was like, oh my God. I don't think I've ever experienced the Holy Spirit, but if it's close to what I felt right then, it was like the greatest feeling ever. Like I stopped playing and I just started jumping in circles. I was like, oh, this is great, whatever this is. And that's why, like, when I look at our school, man, like we knew Jackson State was great when,
froze on us. Okay, there you go. Sorry, you froze.
Yeah.
So you froze. I'm sorry, you said you started jumping and playing, and then you froze. What did you say? Pick up from there.
I was jumping and playing. I was jumping, and it was like it just felt really, really good. It was like I'm a part of something great. This is in me. This is where I'm supposed to be, and that's why, like when I look at at Jackson State and where we are now, and how like Tiger Talk and Corey and all these guys are doing so, they just tackled this great opportunity to be able to showcase something that we knew that was already great, and in 20 years, 25 years later, everybody else getting to see this, because I don't know, like when we say DI love, that's for real. You know what I'm saying? Because like when I was looking left and right, that was the moment, like I was like, okay, this is never going to be a part of me. Like it's never going to go away. This is something that I'm going to live with the rest of my life. This is something I want to be proud of. This is something I want to preach to my family, to my kids, to my children, my future generations. Jackson State is it,
Right. So check it out. All right. So I'm going to take y'all back a little bit, maybe. Still on the same lines of what we're talking about. Greatest moment. So Danielle said something that sparked a memory in my mind about, them hyping us up and prepping us and telling us this and telling us that. So she talked about the Southern Heritage Classic being one of her greatest moments, marching into that stadium. That was our first game. Well, I'm going to tell you, for me, in the so I play mellophone, for those of you who do not know. I think I said it earlier, but in our section, the upperclassmen would always talk about the ramp, and the ramp being in the in the Mississippi, the Veterans Memorial Stadium. Did I say that right? Is it Veterans Memorial? Veterans Memorial Stadium. I'm sure I got my words in the right order, right?
That's correct.
That's correct. Thank you. That's the correct sign. So they used to prep us and hype up marching into the stadium. Not necessarily just a stadium. For us, it was, well, for our section, it was the Memorial Stadium. So I couldn't wait to march into the stadium. Scared was an understatement. Nervous was an understatement. I'm like, I don't want to trip. I don't want to fall. I don't want to drop my horn. I don't want to miss a note. I want to be as funky as I can. So when it was time to march into the stadium, first home game, I cannot remember what the game was, but I remember the feeling like no other.
Fam.
So, fam? Was fam?
It was fam. First home. I feel like first home game was fam, and they came.
Danielle.
That's facts.
That is what, Toby boy, your brain cells, they work real nice.
They call me Rain Man, dude. They call me Rain Man.
They did.
Gotta go to Kmart. Gotta go to Kmart.
That is hilarious. So marching into the stadium, sweaty, tired, legs hurting. You know, we were in shape because we had to go to aerobics all the time. So I backed that up. So they used to train our bodies to be in the boom, and we used to go to aerobics. A guy named Donnell, can't think his last name, but he used to teach aerobics, and all the band members would go to aerobics to get in shape. But marching into the stadium was it for me. Marching in and sitting down, and it's like, okay, we're here. Now what's next? Play all these tunes that we learned over the summer. So that was one of my greatest moments in 1998. So check this out. So in 1998, our band director, all three of us, we are under the direction of Dr. Lewis Liddell. We call ourselves Doc Babies. So Doc used to always prep us. Doc had all kinds of encouraging words to share with us. He scared us a lot because he saying it's gonna be 60,000 people looking at you. You got to point your horn up to the press box. So if y'all could think about like a Doc moment, like what's like a Doc moment that comes to your mind? Like that was my Doc moment. If we're telling us that we're freshmen and we're about to play in front of 60,000 people. I'm nervous already because I just don't want to miss a note. So what's a Doc moment for you guys? Danielle, what's a Doc moment for you? Doc moment, Dr. Lewis Liddell.
Oh,
Yeah. I know you got plenty of them though.
There are so many. I can't even think. Like it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So keep in mind, so let me tell you this. So Doc used to, let me back up a little bit while you're thinking on that. When we came to band camp in 1998, it was the summer of 1998. For those of you who do not know, the freshmen are on one side, we're in the choir room, and the upperclassmen, they're not there yet. So we have a whole week of just freshmen learning music, getting in shape. We were running down the parking lot, getting our stuff together. And Doc would always be like very, very instrumental in making sure that we knew what we were about to face. He said, y'all know when the upperclassmen get here, they're going to make sure y'all in shape. Because they're not going to be in shape, but they're going to make sure y'all in shape. So that was like, it's so many Doc moments I just think about, and it's like randomly hitting me now as I'm sitting here looking at y'all because I'm going back into my mind. So I think about those Doc moments, and then the merge now, how the merge has gotten so big. But that's like, but Doc would always prepare us for that. Like it was like we would go out into the parking lot with costumes on. The freshmen had on t-shirts and basketball shorts, and the upperclassmen would always have like these crazy costumes where each section would dress the same. So it's like, it was very inviting, but it was like, it was the
Terrell, I think you froze.
It froze. We back. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we're back. So that moment, that's a moment that I think about when I think about Doc. I got a million Doc stories. We all have a million Doc stories, but that's my Doc moment when I think about how he used to prepare us for when the upperclassmen would come back, because we would get back before them. So that's my Doc moment. So Danielle, did a Doc moment come back to your mind a little bit?
I can't think of any particular Doc moments, to be honest with you, but I do remember thinking like I was afraid of him. Like he was so big but like also very, just big, a beard. Like he was just like not who you would imagine a band director to be. You know what I mean? No. Like my band director wasn't a small guy, but he was just like super tall. He just looked like a different type of guy. Like he wouldn't be a band director, if that makes sense. I just remember like being like, wow, like this is the director of bands. But he was so passionate about marches, and he was so passionate about America the Beautiful, and like certain, just the patrioticness of anything we play. He was so serious about it. That's really all I can think of, and that's so crazy because I am like extremely tickled by anything Doc does. I can't think of anything right now though, nothing that stands out from like freshman year.
Doc is the most hilarious person anybody can ever meet.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for those of you who've never had the opportunity to meet Doc yet. If you want to, you have to figure out how to catch up with him. He's retired now, so he's not on the campus. So you can't go knock on his door like we used to do when we were in school. We could say, "Hey,
Yep.
Doc, I
Just
need
go
to
sit in the
talk."
office.
You know,
Yep.
Toby,
He
Doc
sounds like he
moment.
looks though. He
He
sounds like he looks.
He
He does.
sounds
Like anybody that's
Yeah.
like, wow, look
Yabba dabba
at
do.
Jackson State. Look at Jackson State's band director. Who is that guy? He sounds exactly like he looks for sure.
He does. He
Yeah.
does. And it's funny you say he scared you because sorry, Toby. Doc used to come. So my band director at Callaway High School was Mr. Joe W. Mitchell. Joe Mitchell, Mr. Mitchell, and Doc, they were friends. They were buddies. So Doc would come to the school and just kind of just listen to us play. Danielle, I promise you, the scaredness that you're talking about, we would all be like, "Oh, okay, that's a Dr. Dale. Sit up, back straight. Hello, hi. We would literally get ourselves together when Doc came through. So I'm with that. Toby, Doc story, what you got?
Man, like I'm probably the only one on here that Doc kicked out the band.
You know what? You are.
Forgot
Wait.
about that.
Oh,
Yeah, I got kicked out.
Doc
And
kicked you out because
and he did that.
everybody
He
out.
did it so smooth. Like I'm like y'all
Please
might not
tell
know.
the
Like
story.
I'm a principal at a middle school here in Tampa, and I did not know that I was a leader until Doc kicked me out of band. He was like, "Toby, you are a leader. People listen to you. Why would you do something stupid like what I did to get kicked out of the band?" And he let me back the next year, but he knew that I needed to learn a lesson, and we talk about it like when I get with like my WT brothers and stuff like that. We like some of us think it's right, some of us think it's wrong, but like I look at that as a life lesson. Like you can't get on board with everything that you feel is right at the moment. Sometimes you got to step back and look at a world view, look at a whole view, before you make that decision of doing something that you feel is patriotic or something that needs to be done to make a point. Sometimes you can step back and you can be quiet, and people see that, and it'll make the point that you need to be made. But yeah, when he kicked me out the boom, it was a lot of us that got kicked out at the same time. It taught me a lesson. It was like I'm small on this. Like the boom gonna move on with or without me, and that crushed me. And like as an adult in life, like recently, like things may happen that you don't like, and you're like, okay, is this really worth me jeopardizing the type of life I want for my family, the type of life I want for me? Is it worth it? And but in that moment, he told me, like, you're a leader. I don't think I would be where I would be today if he hadn't said that. My dad wasn't in my life growing up. My mom was there, and she coddled me, she loved me the best she could. I had my sister and my grandparents and everything like that. But like, having that male influence that they're saying that you can do anything that you put your mind to, and he did that every night, in front of us, speaking to a multitude. I don't know how many lives in that band room that he changed just by his words, talking about being a paradigm shift, like, oh, it's okay for me to change my mind. It's okay for me to look at the world holistically and accept people for their differences, like, cause he did that, and so like, yeah, like I contribute to him. I talk about him a lot when I'm talking to, friends, faculty, staff, students, and stuff like that. Yeah, I got kicked out of band, and that was something that I loved more than anything. It hurt me more than anything at that moment in my life. That was the worst feeling that I ever had in life. It was like a bad breakup. Like I didn't know I was gonna be able to come back. And he was so lazy in doing grades, he gave me an A the semester that he gave out, so I could still pledge. I needed that 3.0 to pledge, and he didn't care. You know what I'm saying? But it taught me a lesson because, so like, yeah, to me, he's a GOAT. And I hope he gets to hear this, so he can know because I'm just a little old Toby Johnson from Brandon, Mississippi, and he changed my life. But I know, like, shit, it was 300. I cursed, my bad, sugar. It's 300 people in the band every year, and I know that he's impacted and changed, lives and trajectory of where people going, throughout our band.
Yeah. So Danielle, so when we got out of school, Danielle, you were fortunate enough to work with the Boom.
Yeah.
And what was that like? What was your position in the Boom? So we talking like out of uniform, now on staff. You know what I'm saying? So what speak to that? What was that about? What was that like?
That was wild because I was only I had graduated. I'd only been an alumni for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated in 03, and 04 is when I was hired on the band staff. So that transition was a little challenging for me simply because I still had friends that were in the band.
Mm-hmm.
So initially I was, sitting with them on the bus and hanging. And Dr. Liddell, he pulled me to the side. He said, listen, you're on the band staff now. You can't fraternize with your friends like you used to. You can't, you have to operate as a band staff member.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the decision, okay, I'm going to sit at the front of the bus. I had rules for the bus. I had, you know what I mean? So I started to take on, this leadership role and take my job seriously. Literally a year after I graduated college, and college is term, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of had to mature quickly in that space. Because we wild out. We have a great time in the band, just as friends. But that, Dr. Liddell taught me so many things. He taught me how to, he felt like he had to do this, but he taught me how to use the copier in the front office. He taught me, of course, all of the administrative, duties and aspect of the job. But he was very, he didn't micromanage, but he was very particular in like the things that he showed me, and the freedom he gave me as well. Like he would let me, sign on his behalf. He would let me, as long as he approved it. So things like that. Like he taught me a lot in band when I was in school. He taught me a lot when I was on the band staff as well. It was a 180 from being a student to, being on the band staff. And I didn't even, I'm not even thinking about it like, oh, I'm on the band staff now, I'm this person. Yeah. It was just like, okay, I'm in this role, Doc, tell me what to do. And you know what I mean? And I just roll with it. And, 5 years later, you know what I mean? Like, he was about to like basically hand over the whole administrative operation to me, but I took a career change at that time. But it was an amazing experience, just being able to I was also able to relate, of course, to all of the students because I'm literally like a couple years older than a lot of them. So it was just it was just dope because I still have those relationships today.
Right.
Some of the students that came in when I was on the band staff are some of my good friends, and still reach out, and you know what I mean, they're all like family to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Terrell, can I add? Can I add something? Like, because like,
please.
I remember when Danielle got the job. And it felt like a part of us was still a part of the Boom, because we all leave at the same time.
We did. She was there.
You know what I'm saying? But she was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, so it's like you seeing your sister, like a part of something that we all love, but we all couldn't stay, like, and she was that voice. And I know that that's a hard job to have, because every upperclassman, everybody that's been graduated is in her ear, like giving opinions. Tubas need to get their freaking knees up, like fix that, fix this, fix that, like. And I remember making a conscious decision, like I ain't telling nobody my opinion of what's going on. It's always gonna be great. They better than that, like that right there. And I think that's a part of, the whole, that's the Jackson State vibe. You know what I'm saying? Is that what they do well is continue to bring people in that we all can connect to, and it resonates, and it keeps it being home. It feels good, So when you have Roderick on staff, when you have Kevin on staff, I don't know the other ones, but like I'm closer to them. When you have those people on staff, it feels like it's a connection to you. It's a part of your bloodline. It's a part of your DNA. So you are still there, technically. But I remember when they brought Danielle on, and I remember being excited because it was like, oh, it's a connection that was still there. That a part of us is still there.
And let me tell you something. The box, right? The box,
yeah.
box 12 down there.
Yeah.
They were the ones who were in my ear. Like those are
box
my
12,
people.
baby.
Seriously, box 12. They like stayed on me. Danielle. Why that? So a lot of things actually changed because of KLB, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Club Laboom. A lot of things, came through us, and they still do because, like we had a vision. We had a vision when I was a sophomore. If y'all remember, like we had meetings with Doc, like, yo, we gotta do something about this and this and this. And that kept going. It continues to go even today. So yeah, like people were in my ear for sure, but I definitely listened and and took those those ideas, those observations and things to Doc, and he'd be like, you know what, you right. That's what we used to do oftentimes because I don't know, the band staff was just worried about focusing on the marching band, you know what I mean, like the other band staff members. So us being like in the band, having experienced that, even though we were alumni, we're like, yo, like these are the things that we were trying to get implemented when we were in the band. Like now you're on the band staff, you're the one that can get it done. You know what I mean? So it was, I think it was a blessing. Like it was a blessing for me to have, been like just recently graduated and still having those connections to who I had the connections to, box 12, and being able to like, get things done that, maybe would have taken a little bit longer.
Yeah, Danielle, you always had that, man. You've always had everybody respect since you stepped on campus, and so like that, it's just, it's like being able to have that connection, and then having the trust of the people that got their ear to the street, but also having the ear of the people that are in charge and making those decisions. That's an account to you, and it's a blessing, and to be able to have that internally and be able to impact, the culture. It says a lot about you.
So since we're giving accolades, so let me give some real quick. We got a couple minutes left. So ironically, we all are friends. So, a lot of times, you go to the band or you go to the boom, you meet people from different places all over the place. And I'm grateful in this very moment to say that I call both of you guys my friends. Like literally we can pick up the phone and be like, yo, what you doing? I need to tell you something. Daniela called me like, hey, I'm coming through Memphis. Are you around? I'm going to be in town for like 30 minutes. Like, come see me. Cool, I'm on the way. Toby was my best man at my wedding, and we hang out and kick it all the time. Daniela's come to Memphis the millions of times to kick it with me and hang out. So it's like, it's crazy in this moment that we can share these stories from 20, I'm telling y'all age, 20 plus years ago as friends. And at that time, 20 plus years ago, we didn't know each other from a can of paint. So I'm grateful in that. So it's so funny, Toby. I'm jumping around because my brain does crazy stuff. It just goes. Toby, I remember when Danielle got on staff, and we, as Crabs 98, we knew if we needed something or if we wanted to get something done or get the word to somewhere to somebody, hey y'all, somebody text Danielle and tell her we need to.
I'm sorry, Danielle. I'm sorry, Danielle. We shouldn't have did that to you.
We did that, but you know what? we had no idea that she probably was like, "Well, y'all stop."
Here we go.
Like, Okay, cool. No problem. Cool. So I can only imagine how many times, and I can only think about me if I would text her or call her or whatever, be like, hey, yo, so we coming in town, we sitting down under the band. Is there another seat down there for me and my girlfriend?
Mhm.
You know, so they're like, dude, I don't know. I don't handle that. Like, what are you talking about? So that's fun. I just wanted to share that moment real
No.
quick. So I got one more thing, guys, and we'll
I'm gonna
wrap this
tell
up.
everybody to stop doing that, like including
doing
myself, because I hear a good song and I'll text Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson and
Yeah.
Roderick, and I'll be like, hey, y'all
I
need to
do
write
it all the
this.
time.
I'm
I
stopping.
texted Dr. Little and I was like, I'm sorry. He was like, no, it's fine. I was like, okay.
No, I'm
I was
stopping.
like, but listen,
I'm
it's on my mind.
43. I'm done with that, man.
Can't do it.
I'm trusting the process, because when I trust the process, I like what they do. So like, I'm good.
Yeah. All right, so real quick, guys. So for me, in my mind, this is how this particular portion goes. We were in the boom 4 years, and I feel like, 4 years went by too fast. When I graduated, I was like, man, should I get in grad school and march one more year? I didn't want to leave the band. It's like when you walk when band season was over with, that was it. You know, we were in symphonic band. You know, concert season was great. It was cool, man, and that was Doc's main thing. Like concert symphonic band, that was his thing. We'll get to that another time. But 4 years went by quickly for me. And I don't know how it went for you guys, but my question, well, I'm gonna ask the question, I'm gonna give you my answer. My question is, would you change anything in your 4-year experience in the Sonic Boom? That's the question. I'll answer. Would I change anything? I would want to do 4 more years. I needed 4 more years of that because my freshman year doesn't count because I was a freshman. Pause. So then only really had 3 years of being an upperclassman because sophomore year, junior year, senior year, now I know the ropes. So if I could change anything, I would add 4 more years of marching in the boom. I didn't say 4 more years of school. I said 4 more years of the boom. So
People did.
tell me, do you have anything that you would change in your 4-year span? Well, you had 3 years and a quarter because you.
But
But it's still 4 years.
I marched the game all 4 of those years. But like, no,
Okay.
you know what? Terrell, like, man, I respect and I enjoy every experience I had. What people don't see is the behind the scenes, and the friendships and the camaraderie that's made behind the scenes on the bus trips, you know, on the train ride. You know, like we took a train to Chicago. You know, like and I ain't never on a freaking train in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, we ride a train going to Chicago. You know, and flying, and we were on the plane like, and I had luckily I've flown on a plane before. We rode the plane, but no, it was people that were in the boom that had never been on a plane before when we, you know, took a plane to Chicago, you know, like, and people got their first in that, you know, and I had a minor opportunity to come back for a 5th year, which would have been my 4th full year, but that year, and do grad school. But when I walked in the band room, like, y'all wasn't there. So it wasn't the same. The experience wasn't the same. It was like new people.
I was.
Yeah, yeah. It was a couple other people. But it didn't, it to me, it didn't feel like 98. You know, it was like, now it's a job. You know, it was like, yeah, we here because we got to make sure everybody else doing what they supposed to, you know, like, it wasn't the fun anymore. It was more like, you grad school, you know, you your 5th year, you trying to get out of here, and you know, this is your means to getting out of here. And for me, it was like, I was working, I was teaching school at the time, and it was like one of those things where I was like, I don't know, because, you know, I didn't see, you know, it was like Tito and in the Michael Jackson movie, you know, I look to my left and there's no Michael, you know, like, it was no Marlon, there was no Woosie, you know, like, so like what I thought was fun was actually being around the people and getting to know the people and hanging out and having fun. And my loyalty to those people from 98 and the people that came in before us, 97, 96, that we got to develop that rapport with. Everything else seemed kind of like juvenile to me at that moment. So like, yeah, I would have loved to done 4 more, but I wanted to do 4 more with y'all.
It's experience.
Yeah, like I'm not LeBron where I can jump teams and stuff like that. It was like I need to be with my people.
Yeah.
So
I'm with that.
For me, would I change anything? No. Like I did march a 5th year, and I do know what you mean, Toby. I didn't necessarily. It's almost like I think if I had marched in grad school, if I was in grad school, I would have felt like an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I didn't so much. I had a little more freedom because I wasn't a section leader.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would change anything, like anything about my experience. I think I got my fix from being on the band staff for 5 years. And got an understanding as well. I'm one of those that loves the boom regardless too. I'll have my criticism, my critiques about things, but I'm just one of those. It's like the boom is gonna be great regardless. Like we were little old us. We thought we were the best ever. You know what I mean? So it can only, get better, bigger and better. So there's nothing that I would change necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Now, I can tell you this though, like I genuinely enjoy, and I know I'll probably like piss my kids off, because like if I can't make it to a game, like that next morning, that Sunday morning, I'm on YouTube looking for like who dropped, the halftime show, who dropped the 5th, and like I'm passionately watching, and like I'm making the kids, like watch this, like because to me, I still enjoy that stuff, like, and I congratulate them. I mean, the kids that they're pushing through the process, man. You can see the joy and the fun that they're having, and they're putting a good product on the field. So like, I can't critique it. It's different, but like it brings me joy.
That's what's up. So we'll wrap this up, guys. Look, so here's something crazy as we bring it to a close. We talked about a lot of stuff, but there was a lot of stuff that we did not talk about. The bus rides, the train rides, the plane rides, those Bach lunches. I said Bach. So Bach, right, the jungle juice. So Dr. Liddell, he wouldn't say box. He would say Bach. So it was like a fast, huh? What'd you say?
He had time to say it. He had time to
you said it.
Enunciate.
He was too busy with a whole bunch of other stuff. So we say Bach lunches, it's us making fun of Doc, but it was what he would say. So we would coin it. So the Bach lunches, I'm talking about, man, long late night practices. So I think we're gonna have to come back and we're gonna have to do another part 2. We're gonna have to do a part 2. If you guys are available, y'all got some time. We got some more boom stories. So we just sharing boom stories. We having conversations, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Danielle, Toby, do you all have any last parting words? Whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart. I mean, I'm gonna put my hat on because I think I'm gonna start just putting the hat on.
You're gonna mess the hair up, man. You just got them braided. Got the beads in.
I did. I know. The crisscross thing going on.
I like it.
You like this?
The hat hard though.
You like the hat?
Braids, it look a little.
To the front or to the back?
Yeah, the front, man. Front, man. You grown.
It look to the back. Yeah.
I look like an Hold on. It's vibes right here. Hey, what on there, nephew? What's going on, nephew? What y'all doing over there? What is it? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, y'all got any last parting words before we close this out? We're going to come back again.
Yeah, I'm all for coming back. We do have some other things to talk about, some of the fun stories and things like that. No, I just want to thank you, T. Reezy, for inviting me to right to speak with you and Toby, my crab brothers. Love y'all to death. So I just appreciate you thinking of me. And I love that you paired me with Toby. You know, one of my favorite crab brothers. All of y'all are my favorite crab brothers. I'm just always say that. You too.
You said it. I'm locking that. I'm lock that.
Lock is locked up.
Save that. Save that info.
It's
Okay.
locked up. Yeah, but that's
what's up. Okay.
And love the boom.
Love the boom,
man.
baby.
Like I can think of so many people like besides me, like because like I love this program. I love the boom. I love Jackson State like to death. But I know so many other people that love it just as much that I could think of that would do an outstanding job. So I really appreciate you thinking about me in this moment. Pairing me with Danielle, like I said, she's awesome. She is my favorite craft sister. I'll go ahead and say that out loud. So like I really appreciate that. I do want to go ahead and say congratulations and thank you, because I was really nervous today, all day, in doing this. One of my New Year's resolutions is kind of like stepping out and doing things that I enjoy, and talking and having conversation is something that I enjoy. Doing it on this platform is something that scares me. And the reason why it scares me, because I'm a fan of what Corey is doing with Tiger Talk. And I was a fan of Tiger Talk, with the 1400 Club back when they were doing like on SoundCloud and on Spotify, before they started doing the visuals, before, we had Coach Prime and all that type of stuff. I enjoyed listening and hearing, because being here in Tampa and not close to Jackson, you don't get the news, and you don't get to hear what's going on with your dear old college home. And Corey and his guys and his people, they created this platform to be able to push that message out there. So I've been a real fan. So to be a part of it and on this one episode is genuinely, I'm appreciative. So thank you, Corey. Thank you to everybody that's made this platform what it is. I think it's an outstanding platform. Keep it going. And like I said, thank you, Terrell. You my boy. Ride or die. Happy birthday. Love the shizniggle out of you. And thank you, man.
All good. Well, that concludes this episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love the boom. Love the boom.
And that'll do it for episode 320 of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Thank you to all of our listeners. And again, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, like and comment on every show, and share with every Tiger that you know. We're on all podcast outlets: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Video, YouTube, and follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thanks for your support. Go Tigers. #TheILove. #LoveTheBoom.